right, we're welcome to the March 22nd Town Board Work Session. We're going to have a special board meeting. Would everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't know why they say one nation, pause. It should be like one nation under God should be one phrase. I don't know, but that's.
You want me to put that on for work session?
Huh? One nation under God. Make it one phrase. I always throw that in.
We'll put it on for work session to discuss it. I'm sure
We should.
we could beat that horse good.
Well, we'll have to teach the schools, because that's taught when they're little kids.
All right, we have, what, 2 resolutions, Diane?
Yes, 2 resolutions today.
Okay.
We all set to go?
This is the one the
Right.
chief brought in?
All set to go.
Resolution 244.
Where is it?
That's you.
244, okay.
They're all together in one.
Awards bid for EPCAL Ball Field Parking Lot Improvement Project Phase Number 1. So moved.
And I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Giglio.
Yay! Yes.
Gabrielson.
At last, yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes, great job, George.
Resolution adopted.
That took a
And
while.
who got it? Laser got it? Good.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
They're doing
A little
my,
better.
they're doing my fence.
Resolution 245.
Appoints part-time public safety dispatcher 1 to the police department. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
Now, Eric used to be a full-timer, right?
All right, I think we have no other business. Can I get a motion
Yep,
to
you want-
adjourn?
Yeah.
I move to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Can't take this, huh?
Downtown BOA Steering Committee.
Yeah.
Just, I'm gonna let the, I have to leave at 10:45,
At
probably.
10:30.
My mother's not doing very well, and when my brother
Sorry to hear that.
comes, we're gonna go back to the hospital. So I don't know that we're getting to executive session today. I think we're not. I think we're
Okay.
gonna do what we can. Chapter 103, especially if you're leaving at 10:30.
Yeah.
The chapter 103 is gonna be one of those long line-by-line
Well, I
things.
think,
Yeah,
I think
that's
Jody,
okay, 'cause we have
Jody wasn't quite
meetings-
ready for that anyway, I don't think.
Yeah, we have a meeting tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock with the engineer that we hired to go over the code, so I'm glad.
All right.
Okay.
No?
I don't know that we're gonna get to it. Anne Marie, do you have my handwritten notes, one that I have to stop? On chapter 103,
On the
the solid waste
solid
management, I
waste.
made notes in the margin and said, what about this, what about that? Can you check your file and see whether it's in there?
Check my file.
I have to
I
stop
saw it, I
doing
threw it
that.
out,
I
I think.
think that was an earlier version of it.
Oh, there's
You
an-
have the most recent, and I compared and contrasted to, the DEC's comments.
Okay.
So I think we look good.
Oh, so I have to read that again?
Not yet.
Okay, give me the most recent, I'll read it again, then. That's the best way. Well, you're meeting again, is there gonna be another more recent one?
No, tomorrow, this identifies everything the DEC wanted. But
Okay.
tomorrow, we're meeting just to formally respond to the DEC.
All right, so
Okay.
I can read this and I'll know what we're looking at.
So this was after our last meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, Chris, why don't you come up? We've got a whole bunch of members of the downtown public. Why don't you guys come up? We've got chairs, just bring them around.
Want some money?
Well, don't be afraid of us. We're not that bad.
Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco,
Feeling
seis,
pretty?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning.
We got a half a
I
million
don't think
dollars.
introductions are necessary.
Which hat do you have on? Alrighty.
Downtown merchant.
Good morning.
That's what I said.
Doesn't
We're
really
gonna have
matter.
$1 million that we need to
It
know.
does.
Oh, not to us, I just want to get this, all right.
Make it walkable.
Yeah.
Welcome, everybody. I don't think introductions are necessary. I think everybody knows everyone else. The BOA grant that we were awarded requires us to have a downtown steering committee. So last Thursday at the work session, we brainstormed for about 5 minutes and came up with the movers and shakers that we thought was on Main Street, were on Main Street, and that's you guys. I'm sure there's other people, but obviously we don't want this BOA committee to be 12 or 14 or 15 people. Chris, you want to talk about what the committee, because let's give everybody an overview of what the committee entails and what we will be doing.
Okay, well, the grant itself is for, revitalization of the corridor from basically Tanger to Hubbard, and it's called brownfields, but it doesn't just affect the areas that might be brownfields, it's a perception of brownfields. So if there's a perception that leads to disinvestment, that's what the BOA grant is trying to remediate. So part of the grant is it has an executive summary with certain items that have to be covered in the grant. So it has a very specific work plan that's about 15 pages that the state is going to give us a final copy of, and we would hire a outside consultant with the grant, which is $567,000, to do a lot of the technical work, and then the local steering committee helps to guide the consultant through the process. So the steering committee would have the board plus stakeholders in the community, and that way when the consultant is trying to pull together this large-scale project, that it has a sense of place that comes from within the community.
How would you characterize the technical work? What does that mean?
Basically, what we applied for was, they call it a step 2 nomination, so they have required items. So in that executive summary, they have certain maps of identifying where your green spaces are, where your historic resources are, where the brownfields or potential brownfields might be. And then we also asked for money for improving the transportation flow, which includes cars, people, bicycles, access to the waterfront, and then opening up the waterfront as well, which has been something that the town has been trying to do for a while. This is maybe identifying key buildings. So one thing Janine Nevins has been a big proponent of is like a Pike's Place type market as an anchor. So maybe there's buildings we can identify that are vacant or underutilized that could be used for certain uses, and that would be catalytic to this revitalization that's in process.
The problem with this grant, and I'm going to lay it right on the line. Right now, I need a parking study. I need a traffic study. We'll tell you in a minute what we're going to do with traffic. Not, you and I have talked about it, and I haven't lost sight of that. I really think that the town needs the nuts and bolts of design. We can't get there yet until we do this. I think we're, to some extent, past what this grant is going to do for us, but if we want to get to the next level where the state might pay for design of roadway infrastructures or parking lots or things like that, you have to get through this stage. So one of the things that is critical to me, and we've failed both at EPCAL and on Main Street on this, is we don't have a marketing package for downtown, and I smile because you guys know this. We don't market ourselves, and when I bring in, whether it's the Regal Cinemas or Uncle Giuseppe's or any number of businesses that might want to come downtown, the first thing they ask me for are demographic studies. I don't have them. The second thing that would
I've heard something about that.
Yeah. The second thing that I would like to give them is a package of, hey guys, this is us, my marketing package. I don't have that. So what I'm hoping you guys will share my vision in this, that the BOA grant will be written in a way that, okay, we'll do all the identifications of things, and we'll do, but there'll be one hardcore deliverable, and that will be a demographic analysis for certain key things, whether it's retail downtown or whether it's movie theaters, one that I desperately want. I don't know where we're going with that, but get those demographic studies. So when I hand that package to somebody, it's not just me saying, hey, come to Riverhead. This is why you need to come to Riverhead. And it has to be written in a way, because if you do the demographic analysis of this town, that would tell you that not a business would survive on Route 58. That Tanger wouldn't survive. You know this. If you just look at the 11901 demographic analysis, we're a community that encompasses the entire East End. Sure. And all the influx of people that come here.
We are a geographic accident. which we need to capitalize.
I wouldn't call it an accident, an anomaly.
No, I wouldn't
You're 100% right.
Yes.
And
Right.
so, that is, that's what I'm hoping to get out of this, and I hope that, because you guys are gonna be on this, we're gonna be the committee, if you choose to take this on. I don't think it's gonna be a huge amount of meetings. We'd probably have, every once in a while, meet on a Thursday morning like this when we normally meet, because we can only meet as a town board. And as long as we have a quorum, we would move forward. Did I sum everything up?
Yeah, and the last 2 pages of what I handed you has basically what we sent to the state as the executive summary. So the marketing and demographic information is in there. We were also thinking of maybe centralized web hub for some of the places in Riverhead, and then these maps that I was talking about, and as well as the TOD growth plan, which would be the transportation elements and solving some of the traffic flow issues. But
So part of this funding, aside from a master plan or a top-line plan, is also a strategy on how to market Riverhead in its entirety.
Right. We wouldn't call it a master plan per se, because we already have a master plan, but the marketing package, the demographic package, that's what I think is key to this. The rest of it,
More of a practical application.
But that's a
of the
portion
vision.
of this, though,
Right.
right?
Yes.
I understand it's key for us to, at the end of the day, come up with that result.
Mhm. That's a portion of it.
So we have good content to lure businesses.
right.
But the other portion of this is to identify areas that can get developed with a larger strategy.
infrastructure, as well as maybe there's key businesses that would work well in downtown that maybe we haven't identified, but if we go through the demographics and the market analysis with a planning firm, maybe they'll say, if you attract these types of businesses, they'll also do well. So then we can start marketing to those types of businesses, whether they're related to the agriculture, the ecotourism, some of the larger commercial entities we have.
Okay. Can I just ask you a question? What does the brownfields then have to do with this
Oh.
if we're not discussing
Brownfields?
the brownfields?
Yeah, it's an
Well-
unfortunate thing.
Well, it's a perception of brownfield. So we do have a number of, there were a number of older gas stations,
Right.
there were buried tanks, there could be a buried tank on a property that somebody doesn't want to get involved with a property along the river because they think it might be a cleanup situation. So we're able to sort of get a little bit deeper into it and identify what's a problem, what's not, what resources are available to clean up, what should be a public.
Okay, but that's what they have to look at too,
Yes,
right?
well, it's
It's not
part of
just-
the process.
what Sean's talking about, but you gotta encompass everything.
But the problem with the
Yes.
corridor is the WSR line, so how does that fit in to this? You just acknowledge it, but that's really the heart of the
Well, one of the things in the town, I can only do as many things as I can do, unfortunately. One of my priorities for this year, and I just don't know whether I'm gonna get to it, is to make another application to the DEC the way we did to remove the WSR line the last time. It's a very large endeavor to do that, and it's on the to-do list to make the application for community rivers. We just haven't gotten there yet. The enemy of the great is good. And what I mean is I can spend all my time doing good things, but you'll never get that great thing done, and that's, so WSR is good. The great is getting downtown done, getting EPCAL done, and so we've been really focusing on those things.
So I know that the town attorney's office was very instrumental in filing the application to get the WSR line changed, and that they took it from A to Z. So seeing as we have all these steering committees and we have these other committees like Vision Long Island, and we had we had engineers, we had everything that came in last week, that would be the consultants that you would meet with and guide them. Why can't we get started on the WSR line with the town attorney's office? It's not something that the supervisor's office handled last time.
Of course, it is something the supervisor's office handled last time, and the town attorney's office is going full tilt. You can't get, I don't think anybody on this board would think that the town attorney's office is gonna be able to grind out much more work than they're already doing. I mean, they are between litigation and everything
Well,
else.
You're saying that our town attorneys are worked right now, and they can't take on any
It's
new
just a
stuff,
time constraint.
Caseload.
right?
Right.
The caseloads are just too much for them, and they just can't take on any new work. That's what you're saying.
But as it
I
relates
don't
to
know.
this, is
Right,
that,
let's-
that
yeah, right.
entrance into that entrance, that
You
Route
have to get around
25
bumps.
corridor,
Yep.
the entrance where the bulk of the traffic
they
can
can.
come in from the west
Yep.
Why don't you
is
come sit up here?
the image issue, which sets up the downtown failure. So I don't think that, I mean, I think that the whole WSR line issue is the heart of the
Mhm.
problem.
Absolutely.
I don't agree.
I don't think it is.
Well, 84 lumber's gone. Who
Yeah,
could buy that
84
property?
lumber's gone, every place on Long
Okay,
Island.
so now you have this
Yeah.
big empty building back there,
and
and
nothing
I'm
can
thinking to
go there.
myself, well, who could go in there
Yeah,
because they're in the
nothing.
WSR?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you have the property on the corner of Cromer and Main
Okay, guys,
that could be bought and cleaned up.
the
Well, maybe
WSR
brownfields
line
might
doesn't
be able
have
to
to
do
do
something
with the
that.
BOA grant. The BOA grant, the WSR has to be done. There's no doubt about it. And I can turn it over to the town attorney's office and do it, but it's not gonna happen overnight. It took multiple years to get it done the last time. And things that happen overnight is when certain board members and council members take that job and they make sure it gets done. And that's, they have to take the job, and, you know, if one of the council members, if you
I'll
wanna
take
take
it.
that job, then
Absolutely.
get it done.
The
And-
the BOA can be helpful in these issues because
Right.
once you start working with the BOA, it's an interagency grant. So when the plan is identified, then you have the weight of the Department of State behind you to say, this is a plan that makes sense because of these reasons, and we've gone through this whole process, and now we'd like the DOT and the DEC to buy into the plan that's been established through the Department of State. So it's been used for Wyandanch, which is now getting millions of dollars of infrastructure funding. So it's a process that starts the ball rolling to get the weight to move these big agency issues, bring in the really large infrastructure investment and that sort of thing.
So can you use some of the work that Rick's office and the town attorneys had already done on the Community River grant, so that you don't have to go back and reinvent the wheel in this study, doing that section, and then apply it to
course.
the...
But that's not the BOA grant, guys. That's not the BOA grant.
We had to limit the scope of work to certain. We did mention those issues in the
Okay.
grant, and we did put in the town attorney's time for zoning and planning issues along the corridor as part of the match. But that's such a large issue that could be the whole grant in itself. It coordinates with this, but
And that's not
it's
the focus of
a
the
parallel
grant.
process almost,
Have
or
all-
a process that
all
piggybacks on
the consultants been identified, or is that part of the process?
No, it's gotta be done by an RFP.
Okay.
What, do you have the bid spec done yet?
What I handed was a draft RFP, and Jill Lewis had obtained copies of BOA RFPs for the same step 2 nomination for Glen Cove, Hempstead, and
That's what I asked for last time.
we basically
Thursday.
took a version
Good.
and made one for what we proposed, and then this program person will be back Monday, so we're hoping to get this approved, and maybe we can go out to bid with their review.
The consultant that we had here, which was gonna bid
A lot
on
of work.
this RFP, said the first thing that we should do is
Guys agree.
get this committee together,
Like, you got nothing
okay?
better to do.
Because it's important for the BOLA grant, and it's gonna take a while for us to put an RFP out and to get him, but that, we'll start on this, we wanna start on this thing. So the first thing is to get a committee together, and then we can say that we do have a committee together. As soon as we get the RFP, put you in touch with them,
Us.
and you guys are already working, so you guys,
We're all the committee, though.
yes,
All of
yeah,
us.
but I mean, most of these guys, can get in touch with them, and get the meetings going.
Okay.
But
I mean, I
he
know
said
we're-
that was the first thing we should do,
Okay.
is
So-
get a committee together.
So do you wanna
the
be on the
goals,
committee?
the goals of, I wanna understand what's involved.
Yeah, that's right.
The goals, the goals of the committee,
Yucking your way into
Sign
trouble.
on?
Yeah.
Here,
That's
sign
right.
this piece of paper that
There
you
you
wanna
go.
be on the grant.
listen, you know that all of us are here because we wanna do everything we can, so,
Yes,
but,
right.
understanding the goals of the committee, because one, you know, I like to be successful, so
Right,
I
yeah.
wanna understand that there are things that are attainable and achievable, and they're practical goals, and things that I have, believe in faith in. So
Right.
what are the goals for the board and the committee to establish here for this grant
Well, I
and
think
and
our
identify?
goal is to improve Main Street.
Can you answer that?
and
That's a
get
very
things-
broad stroke,
and
that's
get
everybody's
things
goal.
going.
I think Christine
What's the goal
probably
of this,
answered
though?
that.
I think you gotta
If
read
you look
this.
on the last
Yeah.
two
my goal.
pages, so the front is an RFP, which is basically what we would submit out to find consultants, and it has some of the, just general town requirements of the process, but the last two pages are more key to what the, grant is trying to achieve. So, on number two, we have to develop the community vision for the area, so the stakeholders would really try to look at, you know, what's been done in the past and what's gonna be most effective going forward. And we already know demographics, market analysis, and sort of targeted, reuse for particular spots or particular infrastructure or particular, businesses is useful. And then, if you look on number 6 on the second page, there, you know, some of the, WSR issues could be worked into this, but maybe that might be a second part of a grant. If we could move forward and use this money, get the boilerplate rolling, we would try to get to step 3, and then that's where the capital money starts coming in. So what we really wanna do is move this grant along, use it, get the documents that the Department of State wants, and make them useful to the community. So that's really where the stakeholder group would come in, so that what the documents that come out are going to be something that's important, like the traffic flow issue or the parking issue, or tying into the train station, using the weight of Department of State to improve the public transportation and that sort of thing. Whatever our issues are that are specific to our community that are holding back investment,
Right.
we try to
But
facilitate
this
a
steering
solution.
committee's specific responsibility at this point in the game would be to,
Well, the first step is the RFP, so we wanted to
Coordinate
have
with-
a copy. You know, Janine raised the WSR line, that could be something that we reference for the consultants to look at online. You know, we can reference them the information so that they have that in their purview when they're responding. So if you look at the RFP and you think that there are items that are missing, or we have a big hole, then we wanna include that in the RFP so
I see.
that nut of the 567 is being used for the most efficient purposes.
okay.
But we do have some constraints by the Department of State of what we can use the money for, which is generally along the lines of what we've proposed in the grant application, which is the last 2 pages. But the WSR specifically is something that could be referenced, and still be within the scope of what we've proposed.
And unfortunately, when this grant was done, 3 members of the board, when we applied, weren't here. This was not my vision, nor do I think it was the 3 of the board members sitting to the left of me's vision of what a BOA should have been. This was somebody else's. My vision would have been quite a bit different, and it would have touched on WSR, it would have touched on marketing, and it would have touched on many other things. But we've got to work within the framework that we have to get to the next level of grant grant opportunities. And I want to throw in, well, I want to talk, don't let me forget about talking about infrastructure and traffic, but I also want you to start thinking about the Second Street Firehouse. Because the Second Street Firehouse, there was a reason
It's parking
that
garage.
we tried to, we obtained this, and was either for parking for a movie theater, or not a movie theater, just downtown parking, or some other purpose. We tried to put
Well,
the
we tried to put the ambulance
ambulance
in there as a headquarters, so we wouldn't have to build a $14 million building for them, and they rejected it.
And we have not been successful.
So we have not been successful with the ambulance.
We could be
so
successful,
we
but we
could-
don't want to be successful in that way.
Well, we could force them to move in there, but, you know, we
He
don't
said
want to
it,
do
not
that.
me.
See?
But
We
that's
don't
a,
wanna
that's a
do that.
tremendous number of people
See?
that would come to downtown, because at one time, there's 10,
Uh-huh.
15 people hanging around the ambulance. They're always
That makes
there.
sense.
But,
And it makes sense, particularly in these times. to do that.
Right.
I agree.
I agree.
But
They
since
like
they're-
the accessibility of being on, right on Route 58, and they have the lights where they can change the signal of the lights so that they can get through quickly to the hospital and move around town
Well,
quicker.
Yeah, but
than-
make it so the secondary roads can be
Yeah,
changed.
but our
They
objective
said
was to.
racing by the school
No, no,
from
no.
Second Street Firehouse.
Yeah.
No, no.
Early,
Go-
obviously.
Go east.
But our
But what
object,
if you have to get to Osborne Avenue from
Oh.
Second Street Firehouse?
You go
have
below
to-
the school.
Huh?
You go below the school. By the
So go all
railroad
the
tracks.
way to.
That's two of us.
railroad tracks?
Well, I think
I know what I
we go
want.
over the
where you
RFP
going?
and to
Yeah, you gotta leave.
find out answers.
No,
Right by
but
the south.
you guys are talking, our objective at the time was to let them stay on Osborne Avenue and let them have a bedroom up there, their office could be made into a bedroom, so they got people stay there at night. They have a living room, they have a kitchen, they have a downstairs recreation facility. Move their headquarters, their training, their meetings, keep an ambulance downtown,
Yeah.
keep two up there, one downtown, so their facility is too small for them.
Yeah, so
So
there's
have
several
everything down
substations
there,
by the
training
time you-
I wanted to
downtown,
sell 58.
have everything downtown,
Yeah,
Good money.
and let them respond from Osborne Avenue
Yeah.
to where they want it, and have a third ambulance, so if they have something downtown, where we have all these things, they have an ambulance
does
that's
the old
located
armory
downtown.
have a little bit of space for
We're not-
a substation?
That's
We're
where
not
they
there
want it,
yet.
Chris.
I know.
We're not
We're
there
not
yet.
there yet. That's gonna cost
Could you
money.
give us like a sense of timing on, in other
So,
words,
I
like
mean-
how did this timeline work
we
for this?
tried.
So
Before
you're,
we go to the timing, I want to finish up this one point here.
Go ahead.
And so what you've got to, what I want you to think about is the Second Street Firehouse. I don't think we're going to be successful making it the ambulance, because I don't think the board is not going to force them up there. So that building needs to be used for something other than parking. Or maybe parking lot, but we use it for indoor parking of things. So when you start to look at things like Patchogue and some of the things they've done in Patchogue, maybe the building, and I know some of the preservationists are not gonna be happy, maybe the building gets raised and something new is constructed. Maybe we RFP for something interesting down there, whatever it is. And so you should be thinking about that, because that's 1 acre of property. And it may be that it could be parking for something really spectacular that we wind up on Main Street, or it may be something spectacular on its own location. So be thinking of that, and that would be something we could be looking at as an identified property in the BOA grant, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, and I just have to confirm everything with the program person once they
Art-
return.
Art Space usually looks for money up front for a study, which is like 65,000. And it would be a great spot for Art Space, and it's done a lot for Patchogue.
Yep.
Could part of this study money be used for that study they're looking to do?
Well, I
Could we
think
look
the
into that?
supervisor wanted to do an RFP for the total grant, so we have
Yep.
one contact that
Right. Okay.
takes the lead, and then they pull in partners to do
So they
different
could use it
items.
out of
Could
that.
get incorporated, sure.
The problem is, if you don't do this correctly, you won't get reimbursed.
Okay.
The
Anyway,
problem
timing,
I see, and that, looking at this map, this map only covers Main Street, doesn't cover streets
It
north
doesn't
of Main
cover-
Street. No, it just covers Main Road throughout
West Main
25.
Street.
Huh?
West Main Street to the bridge, yeah.
West Main Street to
DLIA.
to River Road, and East Main Street to Hubbard Avenue.
Yeah.
Or to Cross River Drive, 105. Just Main Street, see here, Second Street is up here.
So we'll have
It
to ask
doesn't-
if we can do
So
it.
I
Yeah,
don't
we
know
Try to change the
I don't
boundary to
know what we
include the
can-
firehouse.
how we can change
That's a-
that.
But I think what the supervisor is saying, what I agree with, is that the Second Street Firehouse could be instrumental into bringing people to Main Street, so.
No, but I'm saying but that's area is not covered into this grant here. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we have to look into see what
We have to
can
look
do.
into see if we can move that line for this grant, and that's gonna take more time too. So I mean, if we wanna focus on the grant, then we have to focus on the map that was drawn and where everything lies.
But one thing, when we
Who-
hire,
I don't know who did
What-
this map.
well, when we hire, we had to reduce it to a certain number of acres, so, but when we hire any consultant, they are not limited to just this area. They can actually be facilitating anything in the town when we have them on retainer. So I've spoken to some consultants and they said, you know, if the town hires us, this is the focus of the project, but that doesn't mean that they can't identify something outside the specific
Okay.
area. And
That's
If there's
good.
ancillary things that are gonna have impact, then we should be
Yes.
able to.
That's right.
Will the grant cover all that
Right.
stuff?
And then
Will the grant cover it? I guess
Will the
that's what you're
grant
saying,
cover all
like,
that?
if
those
if,
areas above and outside of the area.
Yes.
Yeah, if they're key to
Oh,
our corridor revitalization,
Right.
it doesn't necessarily have to fall in
Okay.
the area. What we
Okay.
were trying to
Okay.
do is pick an area that would qualify us for the grant by having a certain number of these brownfields
Right,
or
more
potential
identifying those sites,
brownfields.
yeah.
But it's not limited, you know, the discussion isn't limited to just that specific corridor if these outside properties are gonna affect that corridor.
Okay. That's answer my question.
Like that.
All right. Janine, timing, because I'd be interested in no timing. I always want everything done yesterday.
These are notoriously long grants to implement. So we applied, maybe 3 years ago, right? And
Yeah, no, I
the
had this.
award was last year, and we've been waiting to get a signed contract. But we
A
we've
signed
already-
contract from the state for the money?
for the work plan, yes.
Okay.
But I think all of our costs are eligible since the award. So once we have a consultant in place, it's really as fast as the process goes, and a longer process doesn't mean a better result. Sometimes shorter can be a better result, just quick action. So it's really once we get our signed contract, then we can start, I think, spending money, because I know the town attorney doesn't like anything without a signed contract, even if Department of State says the costs are eligible. But I think we can get the RFP going and start lining up to.
So you're gonna put the RFP out for the consultant. Then, how long of a process is that? Like, how long do you leave it out there? 30 days and then you pull the trigger? I mean, how long?
Usually we
30
do,
days.
usually we do 4 weeks or something.
Okay, so then you pick, so the committee has to then come together to choose the,
A consultant?
or does the town do that?
It
You do
would
that?
probably be some input from the
Probably
committee.
input from the committee. I mean, the board, the decision lies
right,
with the
with the
board, but
board,
it would be
okay.
an input from the committee.
All
We'd
right.
sit together as a working group and hash it out.
So then
There may
in,
be presentations by the consultants where they
Right.
give you a PowerPoint about how they would go about the process,
Right.
what their specific angle would be, what their other experiences, whether they worked
Past
in
successes.
Glen Cove or Wyandanch or these other BOA areas, and
okay,
what the
and so then
results
you
were.
can put in the RFP a timeline to completion, or like, does it go in sections, like section 1 and 2 is due at this point? I mean, how does that work?
basically, I think with the RFP, we would do something similar to what you have, and then the proposals come in, and when we contract with the consultant, then we really give them sort of a identified PO where it has tasks and how much of the contract price goes to each task and what the timeline or expected timeline is.
So based on your experience, what do you think the process is? Is it?
I think it's a pretty straightforward corridor. There's no real issues that would be so timely. I mean, the demographic and marketing analysis is something they could pull together rather quickly. I would think, 6 months to a year should be enough. But that depends on the Department of State following through. Across the state, there's a problem with these grants moving in a timely manner because of it's just a cumbersome process. So if we have to get approvals from DEC, DOT, and all the other participating agencies, and that is a 30-day process, that might sort of slow the final product closeout for this.
But there's a way that there's something we can control. We can put in here, and I'd like to do it, that the contractor that we hire delivers a work product within a certain amount of time. I'm thinking 6 months. That just, that they have to accomplish their tasks in a defined period of time. I don't think 6 months is unreasonable. So maybe that gets put in here, and at least we'll have the work product. The rest of the stuff that the DOT, when we
Right.
get funded and we get paid and we get reimbursed, we'll have the work product.
So the 567,000 is the consultant, or that's the sum total of
That's
what you have to work with?
That's the award, and then we have a 10% match. So it was like we gave them a budget of about 600,000, which included, staff time, including town attorney, our department, the
And
planning
that's
department.
just for the study, that's not for any
Well, it's for the
projects?
it's for the demographic analysis. We put in for upgraded web hub So some of the things that, we've been trying to do with upgrading websites and
Can we
information.
can we get a downtown website out of this?
Well, that's what we have proposed in here, so we're
Okay.
hoping the
That's a
consultant comes
tangible
in
thing.
with, you know, the deliverables are going to be a marketing thing, something somebody can go to the bank with when you're trying to open a business downtown and say, you know, this is supporting documentation.
So the consultants are gonna produce that, or
Yes, that's what we're
they're gonna actually
asking.
produce pieces,
If
parts
you-
of the toolkit that you need? That's
Yes.
ultimately what this $500,000 is paying for.
If you look at the last two pages, it has deliverables, marketing strategy, financing demographics, and historic district financing incentives, so that there are actual pieces that we can start using, you know, to hand out.
What does this committee do?
Try to guide the consultant to
Steering.
produce, yes, steer the consultant.
We're gonna steer you guys in the right direction to make the right decisions for the business.
Right.
Hey, we're part of the steering committee
Finer
too. You're one of
steering
us.
try.
There we go, put him on top.
I'm behind the wheel first, that's all I'm gonna
That's
say.
it, right?
Give me the keys.
I see a bunch of type A personnel.
Give me the
sitting there.
keys.
So none of the monies to implement some of this
Buzz.
are available at this time. The actual
You go where I'm
physical
taking
work.
you.
For the capital construction.
Right, and the
That
capital.
comes after you have this, so Wyandanch
packages.
has just recently gotten like $10 million in
So
capital improvements.
if they like our plan, they'll give us money for
Then
infrastructure.
it
and
flows from all the
capital.
different
Right.
agencies
Okay.
that have bought into the plan.
3 months?
That's good.
I know you don't like to call it a master plan, because you said you already have one, which, I know
It's a
there's a
marketing
East Main Street urban renewal plan. I know that's been in place and being developed and in course of action. But these are all elements of a master plan. Am I understanding that? I mean, they're
Yeah, I guess
all
so.
these pieces, if we're talking about art and, you know, including all these things, I mean, it's all pieces of a master plan. And if there is a master plan, maybe we should have that to digest. Is there something
And
that's?
this will also
Well-
identify certain areas that are
Okay.
of concern to
Okay.
the steering committee that we may want to pinpoint and say, so that we can attach whatever we've done as a steering committee to a grant application and try and get the monies to fix that pinpointed area up.
Or
And
so
help
you use the
anybody that may want-
findings of this?
Yes, to get
then
grant money
Go to
for
the
the
next
capital
step.
projects.
Okay, got it.
That's what she said.
So the weight of having, you know, a plan that have Department of State, DEC, DOT, the town, and the county, and the state will then start funding, giving more points to those projects. Like with the Regional Economic Development Council, that's something that'll get you more points, is if you have, you know, vetted it through different levels of government, your community, private and public.
And we also, attached to this is the NEA, the National Endowment for the Arts application that was put in by the town, myself, and the Suffolk County Historical Society. And it was really based off having this project in place and looking to gather cultural institutions and work with wayfinding systems, creative placemaking within the town, utilizing brownfields that are in the town, alleyways, that kind of thing, having signage, having
That was-
banners.
It was
So-
this was actually the map that was submitted to NEA based on the brownfield map. This was the cultural locations for the NEA grant to start developing a cultural corridor, because there's a density of resources in Riverhead, whether it's the library, the historical society, the arts
we
council,
saw
the
this.
science center, the green spaces, the historic facades, and now the historic district.
George Smelser Park, I love it.
Oh, yeah, well, this is attached to this.
No, it's, well,
No?
it
It's
outlines
like,
the
these are more the cultural.
cultural organizations, how they
Oh, okay.
intersect with the brownfield.
So, did you pass out the sign-up sheet, Jody? Nobody
I'll
signed
sign up.
It
Pass
hasn't
it over
been
here.
yet. I did.
I will
was
sign
gonna-
up.
I don't know, do we have to ratify, but pass a resolution adopting this committee, Chris? Or appointing this committee, or?
We, I guess when we go through the process with the contract, we could do it at that time
Oh, we
or
should
we
do
could
it
do
now.
a separate,
We should do it
okay?
Is everybody willing to serve on the committee? I mean, we're not asking, I don't think we're asking for a lot of time. I think it's gonna be the bulk of the time, so meeting with the contractors, maybe when they do presentations, helping us select a contractor, and then as they go through the process, periodic meetings.
Did you say pay consultants? Is that what I heard you did?
No, I didn't hear that.
Or just
She did. She whispered it in my ear.
Did she?
Because then we can send you. Chris,
5,000
Right.
with everybody.
Chris, who are you, on your RFP, do you have a standard list that you shoot this out to? I mean, are there,
There are certain groups that have
Specialized?
Do
been
this.
working on Long Island,
Uh-huh.
Vision Long Island, Sustainable Long Island, National Development Councils. They have some experience
does
with
that
these particular
politically
grants.
get you anywhere with some of these other cross issues that get there?
Yes, they're
as
familiar
opposed
with
to hiring?
Albany, they're familiar with, all the players on Long Island,
Mhm.
what's been done on Long Island, because that's also important. The county executive, Steve Ballone, was the person that was involved with the BOA in Wyandanch, so hopefully this gives us, a little bit of more weight with the county going through this process, rather than just asking for, one or two projects that are, we're identifying locally, but we haven't gotten through this whole process.
Vision Long Island's the ones that came here and spoke to us and said this is what we should start doing, was his group of people.
Yeah, they've been involved in these before, so,
Yeah, so they've been involved in all.
and with the town.
So they came here gratis to tell us how we should proceed from here on.
That was 3 years ago?
No, that was,
Last
it
Thursday.
was last week.
Step one was to
This is
form
what
a
we're
steering
doing.
committee, so the
They were
supervisor
here-
threw
they
a
were
bunch
here
of names
last
out
week.
there, and you're all here.
They were here last week.
By the seat of my
And
pants,
we-
I fly.
So this
That'll
week,
be the quote of the
we
week.
said we're gonna get started and get a committee together.
The first couple of lines if we,
So
Well,
we'll-
the-
And does it have to be
We-
one consultant? Can you have
promotional material,
two, or you want to work with one?
yeah.
I
There's,
think the supervisor
Good.
wanted to try to get it all under one umbrella, because sometimes it could be a little disjointed
good.
if
Sure.
you're hiring out
Okay.
separate consultants.
Yeah, we don't want to.
I just like to see past history and successes, where this has been done. I mean, Greenville, South Carolina, I mean, there's some areas that have just really, did a tremendous job, with downtown hotels and so forth.
You want another
Trolleys.
hotel down there?
No, I'm just saying, we already have one.
why did
But,
you go to Greensville, South Carolina for your traveling lacrosse
did.
team?
I did. I did, as a matter of fact.
Middleburg, Virginia.
They did a good job there,
Yeah,
so.
but also I think that we need someone that knows Long Island. And this is the problem with getting a firm that just works in New York City or out of state. They don't know Long Island.
I don't
Long Island is
I don't
unique.
necessarily
No.
agree with that at all.
No,
I
me
think
either.
you need visionaries.
No.
That's what I think you need.
That's why Vision Long Island's called Vision Long Island?
Well,
I mean, we need somebody with an
gonna-
outside
but
But the
perspective that
Vision
doesn't
Long
have
Island
fresh
people
eyes to
aren't
look
getting
at
a
it.
whole
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
vision
Does the
stuff
same
done.
old.
They might,
Well, look what happened in downtown when they called it.
I don't know,
firm.
I think one of the top ones that
Nothing
I've ever
happened.
worked with is Alley King
that?
Rosen.
You know, the,
Well, when
They-
we put
they
this
are-
out,
I'm trying to
They
think of the
are
name of the firm.
sharp,
That owns the,
smart,
Woolworths
and
building.
am I
fast.
allowed to say Apollo around here?
All right.
Wow, yeah. Nothing
One-
happened.
One conversation at a
They
time.
can
You know, nothing
farm
happened.
out little pieces to the politically correct, but I would prefer to see you go to
So I mean,
No.
that's
the
why
biggest and the
I,
best to get it done quickly.
Wanna-
basically what's happening on Main Street is the local people. You, him, Bishop, who lives in Mattock, you. So these are the things that are happening down. It's the local people that are making these things happen. It's not people from New York City, that
You're
wanna
still gonna
come
get
out
the
here.
local people to make it happen, but for somebody to come in
Need a
with a
fresh
new,
set of
fresh
eyes.
perspective and a
Total
vision to
fre-
say,
I agree.
here's,
I totally agree.
here's the perspective of how this can be best addressed and make it a destination and live, work, play, and everything else. I think it's a perspective. Then you have the local businesses go, wow, I see how this all fits. I got a great marketing plan. I got a great plan I can present to the bank. Then I can come in.
All right, well, what's
All
gonna
right.
happen is it
Very
goes
good.
to RFP.
Now we see.
And
We'll see who
and the
we
steering
see.
committee is going.
I got the
And
list,
if
I
you
got
have-
the
if you
committee.
have people you
I'm
want-
coming, next meeting, I'm bringing my own steering wheel. I'm gonna come in like this.
But if you have
Chris,
people,
can we send this RFP out on a broader
want to
scale
send
other than
it.
just Long Island?
tell Chris.
Well,
I
it'll
don't
be
have
out,
anybody, I'm
and then
just-
Yeah,
everybody
just give
will
names,
put it out
we'll
to
send
whatever
it to 'em,
contacts
So we
that they
advertise
have.
for
The
30 days.
more we get, the better we are.
Of course.
All right, let's do this. Give us the names, if you've got a company,
Right,
give us the
right,
names of the
right.
company,
Yep.
we'll get them on the,
Yeah.
make sure they know that it's gonna be released. We'll release it for the 4 weeks, and then with an RFP, you don't have to take, it's not a low bid situation. we'll invite them in to give us presentations, and then we make decisions based on that.
And there's a point system that's just sort of briefly laid out in here. If you think that there's a different, criteria that we should throw in there, then we might as well put it in the RFP. National perspective or whatever, ties to national firms, trending, that sort
All right.
of thing.
I think we've covered everything. I want to thank you guys for coming.
Yeah,
You're all going to
thank you
get
very
appointed
much.
now, because you signed this Jody's piece
That's
of
right.
paper. Very formal.
What was the fee you put on there, Janine? What was the
Yeah,
fee?
don't worry.
There's a lot of education in this room right here.
See? That's very good.
Good, I'm glad it's come
At
together.
least there'll be work lunches. They'll give us, right, we'll set the meeting up around lunch coming from the Riverhead project.
Cocktails.
Cocktail, well, I like cocktails. Give that
Or
to
dark horse.
Chris.
We'll
All right,
alternate.
Yeah.
there you go. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I am going to have to run because
Yeah,
I've got to
your
get to the
brother's here.
hospital. But Bob, can you come up for a second on camera so I can hear you say this? Actually, I'm just going to ask you a question. I'm just the employees think that's how I cut costs. I shut the air conditioning off in half the building, but it just doesn't run. I think we made a mistake that we didn't realize we made when we said we were going to charge $25 for the fee for the alarm system registration. I'd like you to put a code amendment in that the registration fee is gratis, to use your word, free. I think the board would support that we won't charge the $25 fee. And you still have to register your alarms because people's lives are at stake when these fire alarms go off.
Do you wanna do this as an amnesty?
No, the fee for the registration, there's a $25 registration fee. I want to eliminate it so that they have to
So
register.
there's no permit fee?
There's no permit
Mid
fee.
fee, but the
Correct.
fines will still be in place.
Every
Everything's
Fines
the
will
same.
be in
every
place.
corporate
But
office based
I
on
agree
the
with you
letters.
on that.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah, well, I just sent a letter out to that 600 people saying that they have to pay the fee based on the letter that we got. So
You tell
now
them the
we're gonna-
supervisor's gonna,
Huh? I think it was
I burned the
set
letter.
up as an administrative fee for the input and the data
It is.
entry of the information, but I think that the supervisor's identifying that it's a matter of public safety, so that it should be something that the town covers
do a code
anyway.
amendment. For next board meeting, we're eliminating the $25 fee. Can you let Lieutenant Peaker know, because any checks he gets, you just put them in the file, don't deposit them in town coffers,
But the
so we don't have to
problem I
return
have,
them.
the
We'll just
problem
mail
I
them
have
back.
with that is that, nobody wants to raise taxes. This thing is gonna start and it's not gonna go no place, because we're not gonna have any money to proceed with these things.
We will.
I mean, I take your
fines.
word, you're gonna
The
give me
fine
your
will cover
word
the
that you're not gonna cut anything out of the budget that has
You
to
have my
do with
word.
this stuff.
I give you my word.
Because that's what happens.
I give you my word.
It's something
You got
has
that
to
on
be cut out.
camera? I give John Dunleavy my word, we
See?
will implement this, but we will not extract. I mean, the poor
mean-
Gabrielson farm had to pay $50, and
I got
his
4
cabbage
letters,
doesn't get
between
stolen.
different locations,
Oh,
I got 4 of them.
$100.
We spent $2 on sending out letters, 4 letters to one farm.
We had 167 plus ours.
Oh, wait, let me do
Oh
the
my
math
gosh,
on that.
160.
Well, they have all the stores there. They have all the stores.
Yeah, you guys are huge this year for us. You got a bunch of stores
I
that are
tell you what,
redecorated.
though, I think though that maybe in terms of the process, it's the false alarms where
Right.
the
Yes.
opportunity
That's what it is,
really
yes.
is. But there needs to be a system, because I don't think the fire person that responds can't write the summons.
No,
You need a cop, and I don't think that they can write a summons yet, because I don't know that there's,
no, there has to be 3, and it's not gonna be a
The
summons.
third one
It has to
will be
it
a
has to
fine.
be 3, no, it's a 4th, I think. Has to be 3, and then the next
Maybe the police or
alarm
code
is-
enforcement will write the
right?
tickets.
Third one, and then.
See?
It's just the repeat offenders.
But I mean, we
If
just.
your alarm keeps going off,
Yeah.
Fix it, fix it,
I mean-
or we're gonna get
Exactly.
charged
Yeah.
for it.
We just don't have
It's
enough,
fine.
we don't have enough code enforcement officers, and we don't have enough police officers to say to them, okay, now you're gonna do another job and do this, and do it correctly.
And you-
That's where I'm coming from, that we have to have some kind of input money to get these things going.
all right, I'm gonna,
Okay.
I have to go. John, can you
Go ahead.
run the meeting?
Yeah.
You've only got a
That's how
couple
I
other
feel.
things. Let's
So-
not
We're
do
done, right?
executive session.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
guys
We
are
could
done.
steer out of here.
Let's
Yes,
not
we
do
can.
executive
Yes, steer us
session
for the
until
home.
next
Thank
week.
you.
We're steering out.
Brian, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Your check's in the mail, Brian.
Very welcome.
We're gonna be a good committee, all these type A personalities, I can just see this functioning well. What's that?
We need some cocktails.
Right.
Thank
You'll have the meetings?
Okay,
All right.
Very good.
I'll see you later, guys.
all right. Well, he's leaving.
Ally King Rose and the
Okay.
contact information? Okay.
See?
Sure, and then I have a list.
Thank you for being a part of our steering committee. We look forward to hearing from you.
Happy to stay.
We can work on the traffic flow. Be honest. We have some big ideas on that. Traffic flow.
I'm assuming that they would do something like that. I'll find out.
Okay, WFT, data services.
Boy, this is getting shrinking.
John, we're gonna do WFT next week, but she's gonna come and talk to us about Eaton because Judge Ayers isn't available.
Okay, so the
Okay.
second one's out, so we're on
So we'll
item
do that
3.
next week, but she's gonna talk about the Eaton, that was the tabled resolution
Right.
that just came up, so she's just gonna.
Oh, yeah, yeah, $5,000 for the battery.
Yeah, that's just for the Justice Court and Police Station. Can't we send out to,
Hello. I just found out about this yesterday.
Oh,
So I put together just some history on the unit itself that's over in the police department, that it was purchased in 2001. There wasn't enough room to get it into the building, so we had to blow a hole in the south side of the police department to get this unit in the basement of the police department. So there's a piece of plywood that now blocks where that is. I don't know that it's been mortared back, but it was a huge device. Unfortunately, it sat in the basement for a year, and the batteries were no longer good. So in 2002, we installed it, and it was rigged to the generator.
okay.
Okay. In 2007, we replaced the batteries, 72 batteries, and the term for batteries,
You're on top, John.
Oh, 72 batteries?
72 batteries in this device.
Holy Moses.
Right.
Are they small ones or big ones?
No, they're pretty big, maybe about the size of this.
Holy Moses.
Like a
That must
car
be,
battery.
that is a
Right.
big unit. 72
And
of those suckers.
72, and they're, the recommended replacement is every 5 years. So, in order to get a maintenance contract, you have to make sure that your battery's up to the standard. So we replace these batteries every 5 years, and then we have a preventative maintenance contract that's put in place after you get your batteries up to spec. So since 2007, because initially it was part of the original purchase price, that you get a 3-year warranty, right? So in 2007, we replaced the batteries, and from then, we started our preventative maintenance cost. Since then, it's gone up about 7% each year. This year, it's going up 4.9%. We just had a PM done in September, and it was a recommendation of the tech that either the unit be replaced or you replace the batteries again.
Right.
So to replace the batteries again is about $10,000
Right.
plus labor, right? Right now, unfortunately, the unit is running about 77%, 77 to 100% because the load is extremely high. They have renovated the detective division. We put more computers in there, and the dispatch area has been modified. So there's more of a load on that. So the recommendation from Eaton is to either replace it, that's their ultimate recommendation.
Replace the
is to
whole unit.
Replace the whole unit. Now, we just replaced the 2 units. We have a replacement in the basement here now,
Right.
right? Because ours was from 1989. So,
Eaton?
Eaton,
Eaton
right?
did
They
that
hold the
also.
New York State contract,
Right, okay.
right? So we have that in place to replace. We've just hooked up Town Hall proper to the generator. So once we've tested the old UPS to the generator, so if we lose power here, the generator's automatically gonna kick on.
Right.
And now we're gonna replace the new UPS in the basement that we have in here already. That was $10,000 to get a replacement.
That comes off the state contract, the
Of
cost of the
course.
batteries. Now, my question is, what about the maintenance contract?
And you know what, I'm
That
not
is-
sure.
Okay,
Mike,
because that's what we're
that's what you're questioning, and I, like I said, I just
going
found
out
out
for an
about this
RFP.
yesterday, right?
Okay, so it's no, yeah.
So I have a call into our rep to find out if the maintenance is under New York State contract, and he hasn't got back to me because I just found
All
out
right, now
about this
when,
yesterday.
you're gonna have to replace the batteries this year too.
That's the recommendation,
That's a recommendation for every 5 years, and
Every
this
5
is the
years.
5th year.
correct.
So it's
Now-
quite a big investment going in this year,
What?
between the
So-
batteries and the maintenance.
Yeah, but batteries, it's gonna cost us
It
15.
probably went up.
Yeah,
It's
So-
oh, the
11,000
cost
net.
of the
But if you buy a
so
new
we may
unit,
need a larger
You're not
re-
so sure that
a larger,
you know, we bought this 10
unit,
years
too.
ago, 12 years ago.
So how many buildings or facilities do we have in Town Hall that operate with these batteries?
With this particular unit,
Yes.
just the police department justice court complex. Every building has their own UPS.
Okay, so, and all of them are different, and all the batteries are different, and the
Correct.
maintenance contracts are
Depends on the
different,
size of the
and
building, right.
the needs are different.
Right.
Okay, so,
You've eaten for all of them, yes.
Okay.
Because
So
they hold the
what I'm
contract.
saying is, why can't we bundle it all into one package and get a better price for the maintenance contracts?
Because the maintenance contract is based on the individual unit. The cost for the batteries and the PM is different for each box. You know, the remote sites, highway, sewer, water, they have a pancake unit. It only accommodates 4 to 6 people. The senior center, the recreation department, and the building department have the next phase, which is a bigger unit. You know, and they were originally purchased at the same time. Depends on the spikes. You know, recreation department has been replaced. Senior center has been replaced. They have poor power out in the senior center, and the recreation department was just blown last year. They got hit by lightning.
Yeah.
So we're not in sync at that point. So the units in 6 to 8 months to a year, it's a different model.
Well, how many batteries are in town hall?
25 in the basement that we have.
Just 25.
25.
So, the contract for town hall should be less than the contract for the police department. They have 67, we have 25, so we're not gonna get another $5,000.
And the one that we had in the basement
Right.
town hall, we purchased in 1989. We didn't have preventive maintenance on that. We would call them for time and material.
No, I'm just saying, what is the maintenance, you're saying we have them all over the place.
Mhm.
Each one has their own maintenance contract.
Correct.
But the police department and the justice court have 67 batteries
72.
72 batteries that they have to take care of. We in town hall here, and I'm just trying to compare,
Right.
have 25 batteries. When our maintenance contract comes up for town hall, which should be coming up, are we gonna pay also 5, or will we pay less than 5?
No, because we just bought a brand-new unit that is sitting downstairs. It's gonna be on 3 years of contract. So we're not gonna have to spend 3 years because we had the initial outlay of $10,000 to get a new unit,
Right. I know,
right? So
Right,
so
you
they're
had
not
to-
in sync.
So you're saying there's 3 years, no maintenance?
Correct.
But if you
So-
look back, in 2007, the maintenance kicked, we had new batteries, but the next year it kicked in maintenance. It kicked in right
Well,
away,
no,
There was
because
no 3-year,
Yeah.
We didn't
unless I'm
purchase the
missing something.
3-year. We had the 3 years from the initial investment, the 47,000 when we purchased it, right? So then we didn't need to
Yeah,
replace
but
the
wasn't-
batteries.
No, when you
What-
replaced them, once you put new batteries,
Right, now you're
the
not gonna.
maintenance kicked right
Okay.
from the get-go.
Right, well, you could do a 3-year, but it's gonna be $12,000. You're gonna,
The
So
problem
it's-
we
It
had
was cheaper to
wasn't
do.
operate, we had a 3-year warranty, but
Right.
it wasn't operational.
Yeah, so,
right.
Huh?
what's up with that?
So
Thank you.
that was,
And-
it was
and
just
that's where-
sitting there, and then when they put it in 2007, they had to replace
Right.
all the batteries.
But their maintenance from 2008 to present, it's 5 years.
Correct.
That's
And
what
in
this
5
sounds
years, they
like.
went up 22%. I just did my little quick math here. They went up 22%,
Or it goes up 7%
especially
a
in a
year.
down, flat economy. Well,
Right.
it went up 22%.
But if I had come
But-
to you and said, I need a 5-year maintenance plan for this, and it's gonna cost me $20,000, you would have said, no way.
I think, I mean,
And
my
that's why we
opinion is.
do it every year.
I still-
Well, no, because we can only
Doesn't
get it
look
a
like
1 year.
RFP.
I mean, I
Kidding.
I'm
I'm
sorry.
just saying, I guess I'm driving at, I would feel comfortable with an RFP after all these years that we should actually revisit this. whole
But if
thing.
we need an RFP if it's on New York State contract. We only buy from New York State contract. So the contract does the work for the RFP.
Right.
We're gonna know about the maintenance, though.
Well, I have to find out about
The
that.
maintenance could be, it could be half that.
Yeah,
We won't know
let me
until-
see, if it's not on New York State, do we have to use Eaton as maintenance, or can we use other people? I think that's what your
Yeah,
question
and we
is.
could use someone
Can we?
else if it's not.
For maintenance on them?
That's not my call. I would have, defer to Ken. I'm giving you the history of what we
Right,
have. I
right.
always
So that's
purchase
not
over
her
New York State
answer.
contract.
She
Right.
would give us the answer to that.
Right.
It would have
I
to be
don't know that.
Ken, it would be Ken?
Right, but what I can find out is this maintenance on New York State contract. I'll find out from the gentleman that we
Okay.
purchased it
I think
from.
that's where we're concerned, yeah. Okay.
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 If it is, that's what he's saying, is if
But if
it's-
it is,
if
does-
the maintenance is on the New York State contract and everybody's paying the same across the
Correct.
board that's drawing from the New
Right.
York State contract, or are we paying something different?
Right.
Is, if the maintenance isn't on the state contract, I
Right.
think is what
That was
you're
what- that
asking.
Right.
was it.
And then if it's not, do you want to look at, since we are already at capacity of this box, I will get the price for a replacement that would include the 3 years. So then the initial investment could possibly be less than the $15,000 if we got new batteries and proposed $5,000 for
That would be great,
maintenance.
if we could go
Right.
into a contract and say, okay, from the time we get new batteries, you're covering them for the first 3 years,
I would think
provided
that
we
would be,
install
you know,
them
some
within a
batteries,
certain amount of
right next
time,
year, do you need maintenance?
right?
Well, you don't need the new but we're running at capacity now. So, the spikes and surges that could potentially get could be detrimental to the box. Now, that's public
Right.
safety.
Oh, no, we need
Dispatch-
100%, we're not
Right.
debating that, we just,
Right.
Spikes and surges.
we gotta be fiscally conservative
Right.
to the taxpayer.
Well, we just don't have
As
any
much.
money, that's the
Well, we don't
problem.
have any money, and, right, this is budgeted,
that's-
but I wanna make sure we're
when
not in
we
a
keep-
down situation.
when we
So we
keep
don't have a
cutting
maintenance
things,
contract right now, so we're gonna pay time and material if we don't have a maintenance contract. If
A
we
lot
would
of
ever
these
be
things.
in a
Right, which would be
situation.
worse.
Which would be worse.
So you need
they
this,
know.
there's no other way to,
No.
Solar.
well, there's no alternatives for backup?
This is your backup.
I
So you
know,
have
but-
LIPA as your pure power.
Mhm.
This is in the event that LIPA goes
This
down,
is
you have
when
a
we get
15-minute
put solar
battery
on
on
this
this,
building.
and from
Yeah,
there, the generator
course.
automatically kicks in until
You know what I'm
until
saying?
power can be restored.
And there you
Okay.
are.
Right?
No, I
So
think
it
they
can't
all
go
have to.
right
I don't
from
know.
down to a generator?
Can they be hooked up to electricity? I don't know
You
if
have
they
to
can,
find
or
out
they
from
have.
Ken about that. We don't have that scenario
Okay.
anywhere.
Because what she's saying is that if the power goes out, we get our power from LIPA.
Right.
LIPA goes out. We have a battery backup that automatically kicks in for 15 minutes and then it goes to the generator. I'm like, cut out the middleman, the
But that
battery
gives you
backup
enough
and go
time
right
so-
to the generator.
But that gives
No,
you
but
enough
it
time that
takes-
your equipment doesn't
It
get
takes a
destroyed.
while for generators to go on.
Kick on, right.
Okay.
It's not instantaneous.
It's not
So then this
instantaneous.
is a step that can't be taken out. Okay.
I don't know that
Unless you
anybody
use
would.
alternate energy.
Okay.
which
I don't
may be
know,
solar.
is it gonna be less than
We should look at-
$5,000?
Well, the investment,
alternate- oh.
initially it's high, but then you're free for 10 years,
Exactly.
20 years.
Which is what we were doing
Which
when
will
you
be
buy
ahead of the
new,
game,
then
right.
you get 3 years, and then you have an option to see what.
No, I think you replace the whole unit,
I think the maintenance
not just the
contract, the
batteries. We
point
just
that you
replace
brought
the
up
batteries,
with.
we still have to go
With
and
the
get a
maintenance
maintenance
contract,
contract.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't
So
get
as the
3
numbers
years,
look
just
right
one.
now, it could possibly be $15,000.
Oh, yeah, I
Right.
would say.
So
That's
see what
just
the
a
cost
guess.
of a new one is, that would include the maintenance for 3 years.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. So I will, do you want me to just email you that information, or do you wanna put it back on the work session?
I would just like to know if they're gonna cover 3
Let
years
them-
once
okay.
they, and
We may wanna
include
have
it
a
in the
work session
contract,
again.
and then the maintenance would kick in after the 3 years, up
All
to
right.
10
That's
or
if
whatever.
we go buy a whole new, unit.
Right.
A
47.
whole new unit, or?
Yeah, no, not the
Okay.
battery, the whole
Which
new
is what we
unit.
just did at $12.95.
That's
and
50,000, it's 47 back in 2001.
Yeah, but she said we just bought a new unit.
2 new units, one for here
Yeah,
and one for
but they were
$12.95.
smaller units
Small units.
than the ones that are over there.
But we're
Right.
saying, when you install the unit, give us 3 years of the contract free
Right.
and maintenance, and then we'll start
Right.
paying
But
the
it's go-
maintenance
but-
after that.
But it's gonna
is what
cost,
George is saying.
I would say it's gonna cost over $60,000.
And I don't
install
know
a
that
new
that's
unit.
true, because they came here, and the unit that we have in the basement was purchased in 1989, and we replaced it with a much smaller footprint. You don't use as much electricity, you don't use as much
Okay.
They're more
air conditioning, because,
efficient, I guess.
and it's much more capacity
Alright,
for
so
this
you're
building.
gonna-
So if
you-
you were to compare this building to the Justice Court,
Yeah.
I can't imagine that it would come in at double, so double would be $20,000.
No, I'm saying the unit back in 2001 cost $47,000.
Right, and the unit that
So
I
I'm
just
not
bought
doubling
last
it, I'm
month,
just increasing the $13,000. Because we went 11 years, so I'm only increasing it, 13,000 over 11 years at the unit. It might have got smaller, but the price of, you're gonna look into that though?
yes, okay,
Okay.
all right.
Then we'll
And
know.
seeing as you're the IT gal, you can email it to us.
I will email it to you,
There
but
you
now you have to read it though, if I email you.
We'll read
Okay,
it.
I
thank
think we
you.
should bring her back here next
Okay.
week.
All right.
Would you like to bring her back? Councilman Gabrielson wants to bring you back next week.
And I think that's the last item
Guess we
we
can go around
had,
the circle
so
again.
I make a motion that we close the work session.
Bob just wants
What?
to.
I just wanted to bring
Hold
to
on.
your attention that
Wait
we
a minute.
got decisions back on Carmen Bay. Just learned yesterday that we were successful. The judge's decision below that didn't grant that granted the default judgment's been set aside. So we'll be answering within 10 days. We're back in the suit. The motion, which was to dismiss the action, was denied. So we were successful, and the case continues forward. So I just wanted to bring that to the
Okay.
board's attention. I just found it out. This is Carmen Bay. So we had taken 2 appeals. The
That
appeal
was out at Jamesport.
that's correct. So the default that was granted by the court below has now been set aside.
Okay,
Okay?
very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Good.
I make a motion, we close the work session?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Yeah.
Yes,
All right,
aye.
work
I
session
guess.
closed. Thank you.